almost predicting what he's gonna say. It's kind of scary.
So he's fine.
To still be cracking jokes, but make the punchline that your friends and loved ones are attractive, well-liked, and cool. Chris Evans is an expert at
Well, hi everybody, my name is Anthony Restinello. I'm a social and relationship coach, and for years people have been asking me to react to the monolith of a charisma channel called Charisma on Command. And if you command it, you won't get your charisma. You just press the button, the charisma button, and on command, you will have the charisma in your life. And today, that's what I'm gonna react to. I'm gonna react to some Charisma on Command videos. I've never really watched a lot of his vids. I think I watched a few years ago just to see what was going on in the YouTube space because we both share basically the same exact market. And I could say that out of all of the crap that's on the internet, and I tell you, it is some shitty shit out there, I would say Charisma on Command is the next best thing to my channel. I think he gives really good advice, but I really don't watch his videos, so I'd love to really dive in and see where we differ. Now, I've been coaching people in social skills and relationships and dating for 15 years. That's since 2005. I would go to bars, I would go to parks, I would go to clubs, bookstores, and parties and networking events and coach people on how to actually meet people, how to be charming. So I'm just gonna take a look at this from my own experience and let's have a little fun, baby.
While watching clips from my last Game of Thrones video, I stumbled across some cast interview clips, and I couldn't help but notice how effortlessly charming Emilia Clarke was. I decided to watch a few more interviews, and sure enough, she displays a number of charismatic habits that, while seemingly simple, are extremely powerful. So in this video, we are going to break down 4 of Emilia's habits that make her so charming. Many of these may sound basic at first glance, but there are nuances that take them from ordinary basic advice to extremely charismatic if you hit the nuance.
So first of all, I completely agree, and I haven't even seen this video, but people suggested this video to me, and I don't watch Game of Thrones at all, but I have seen interviews with Emilia Clarke, and the first thing that I immediately noticed is that she is a charming woman. She's probably one of the most charming celebrities I've ever seen. So I'm excited to see what he says about this.
It starts with something that you cannot help but notice when watching Emilia: her beaming and frequent smile. It lights up her whole face.
I think you should keep it.
Smiling is one of the fastest ways to communicate friendly intentions and put other people at ease. But since it's so easy to do, people have learned to fake it to their advantage. And we in turn have learned unconscious ways of detecting which smiles are genuine and which are meant to manipulate us. Subconsciously, we don't look at the mouth, but the eyes. If a person's eyes don't have any flexion in the muscles below or around their eyes, we judge that smile to be fake, and sometimes distrust the person for that perceived attempt at manipulating us. Emilia isn't even close to triggering this, though. Look at her eyes in this next clip.
And that's not an exaggeration. If you were ever talking to Emilia when she laughs, her eyebrows literally turn upside down.
Yes.
Of course, Emilia isn't focused on squeezing her eye muscles precisely to appear genuine, and neither should you be. Instead, her genuine smile comes from allowing herself to find the humor in everything. This is the nuance. And while it might seem like an obvious point, more often than we realize, we restrain ourselves from these genuine smiles or genuine laughter. Sometimes it's because we're uncomfortable laughing at ourselves. We think that it would hurt our social standing to do that. Emilia proves that a willingness to laugh at yourself is actually extremely charismatic.
Hi, I'm Emilia Clarke, and you're gonna find out some first time stuff. Not. Don't say that.
Other times we hold back on smiling and laughter because we can think of charisma as something that requires us to always be the leader, to be the one in the spotlight. And when we are in this competitive mindset and someone else tells a joke, rather than laugh, we might hold back and look for a way to make people laugh at our next joke. But Emilia doesn't fall into that ego trap. In the next clip, for instance, Seth Meyers is piling onto a story that she had just told, and she has no problem shifting the spotlight over to him, making him feel funny, making him the center of attention.
By the way, the only thing that would be worse than a guy coming to your house and seeing this is the reverse, you going to a guy's house and seeing this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's a real, like, yeah.
First of all, I am impressed. Charlie, you hit it on the nose. It's so funny because every time you brought up something, in my head I was like, yeah, but is he gonna talk about this? Is he gonna actually mention this? And then he mentions it just as I'm thinking of it. So great job on that front. I really, in terms of Emilia Clarke and in terms of what he's teaching, I don't think I have anything else to say. I was really impressed because I at first thought that he was going to come at it from saying smile more. If you smile more, you'll come off more charismatic. And I was so glad that he said, nah. You become more smiley, more laughy, more genuine when you actually find the humor in things, when you actually have fun in what you're doing. Find the fun in everything. What I would like to add is, guess what? There's gonna be a lot of times, and there's gonna be a lot of people that are just not good at finding the humor in things. There's gonna be a lot of people that just are not ready to laugh at themselves. And that may feel like a vulnerable part of you that is just like kind of painful and kind of almost like a splinter in your side that you don't want to pull out because you know how much it's going to hurt. And to that, I would talk about really starting to learn about what I call presence. And presence is, to me, the most important social skill that you could learn. It is when you actually are teaching yourself to leave your thoughts and take your attention. And Charlie may have spoke about this in one of his videos, or he may talk about it now. But when you actually are leaving your thoughts and you are taking your focus, and I like to think of it as this flashlight that we have. Most of the time our flashlight is being pointed at the thoughts in our head. But what you could easily do is take that flashlight and just point it at things around you. And the magic of it is, instead of seeing life through the lens of our thoughts, we remove our thoughts from the equation and just start observing what's around us. What happens is we get a lot more relaxed because that thinker, that talker in our head isn't giving us these bad ideas, giving us any negativity, giving us any judgment. And so we're able to actually see things for what they are. And what happens magically, we become more appreciative. We become to see the happy things in our lives that are just around us. And that is not an easy thing to do, but with practice and with actual steps. If you actually take steps to do it every day, you'll get really good at it. But I would say the first step is to take that flashlight and just point it outside of your brain.
But highlighting the people around you, making them feel funny, well-liked, like they have the spotlight on them, leads to your own charisma rising. Now, Emilia's willingness to smile and laugh freely actually leads to our second major point. And it's when our sarcastic comedic instincts might tell us to cut someone down, Emilia often takes those opportunities to build people up. Now, the reverse is especially common in young men who learn to say things like, "Cool story, bro," when someone makes a bad joke.
Charlie, dude, if you ever watch this, and I know you're not gonna watch this, but dude, I am impressed. Holy crap, you are making every point just perfectly in this video. I love it.
Emilia avoids these low blows. Jimmy Fallon in this next clip cracks a lame joke, and rather than tease him for it, she supports it, gets the audience behind him.
Smashed it.
Smashed it.
In England, that means cool,
Killed
right?
it, yeah.
Slay.
Okay.
I just made up something. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah,
I like it. I'll take that. It's
Slay.
okay. Slay. Yeah, that works.
All right. So
Now, something that I would add about teasing somebody is Charlie was really smart to focus on not slashing somebody down in any situation as a joke, teasing them or whatever. But I have found a really good fix for that is, instead of tearing them down and instead of just building them up, what if we still want to tease somebody? You still can tease somebody. Do it on their strengths. And I found that just works perfectly. You're in the clear. You're never looking like an a-hole because you are not putting somebody down. You're not putting your ego and trying to make them look worse than you, but instead you say, whoa, look at the money bags over here. When are you gonna take me out for dinner, huh? Tease somebody on their strengths, not on their vulnerabilities. It always is the better choice. And you could still tease, because teasing is fun. It is a way that two friends can connect.
You generate massive goodwill when you laugh with someone rather than at them. And yes, even though the whole room might laugh when you pick on one individual, it's usually better to take the supportive role. And you can still be funny while doing it. Our videos on Yes Ending dive deeper into this topic if you'd like more. Now, to be clear, I don't mean to say that you can never lovingly tease people. Amelia does it on occasion, but interestingly, she often finds ways to sneak subtle compliments into those teases. Watch as she teases Kit Harington for complaining about his heavy outfit on the Game of Thrones set. On the one hand, she is lightly mocking him for complaining, but she also says this.
Always in the cold.
I know, he does really like to tell everyone that. Yeah,
right.
He does.
What
It's really heavy. It's really heavy.
Oh, but you get to be like warm places wearing silk, right?
Yeah. Well, no. See, this is the thing. Kit always complains because he's always in, and it's a very heavy cloak. It's a very heavy cloak.
It must smell terrible.
He's got abs. He's not holding them up.
It's almost like me and Charlie are have the same brains. We are brothers from another mother. I had no idea that our teachings were so close. I'd like to actually watch more videos and see if this follows in, if this bleeds into his other videos as well, because it's kind of weird how I'm almost predicting what he's gonna say. It's kind of scatty.
So he's fine.
To still be cracking jokes, but make the punchline that your friends and loved ones are attractive, well-liked, and cool. Chris Evans is an expert at this. I'm gonna link to a video with him below, but here are just a few quick examples.
I get Pratt, I never get Hemsworth, which is really upsetting. Please think I'm Hemsworth. Please think I'm Hemsworth.
I feel like the godfather of these superhero movies.
Whether he feels it or not, he is. Whether, he's going to say something really
as long as
humble,
I'm not Freddy, I'm cool.
And simple, and be like, oh, no, it would have happened anyway. This wouldn't have happened without Downey, and nobody doesn't know that.
Back to Amelia Clark. I suspect that part of the reason that those genuine positive emotions come so easily to her is because, unlike so many people, she isn't trying to have normal interactions. She doesn't want to blend in and match the energy of the room. Instead, she almost always raises the energy of the interactions that she's involved in. This is an extremely powerful habit, even though it isn't always immediately noticeable.
I would like to say, and this is a great point, I would like to say my way for doing this is actually find what I can like and what I could love about each person I meet. And a long time ago, somebody gave me a great metaphor for it. You're an explorer and you're going to different islands and you're looking for treasure on that island. And that's what Amelia seems to be. She sees herself as that explorer in every interaction, every person that she meets. She is moving onto the island and she's looking for that treasure. When you have that headspace, you're gonna bring up the connection, you're gonna bring up the interaction, you're gonna bring up the fun, because it's never a battle with you. You're never trying to see who has more of the treasure. I'm trying to stay on this metaphor here, guys. Trying to see who has better treasure. I'm gonna get the treasure first. No, you are looking for the treasure and then they are the treasure. And this is such a great metaphor, isn't it?
Upping our energy level can be a scary thing to do because our default is to try to be normal, to blend in. But when you come in with one energy level higher than a group, one level sillier than the situation calls for, people almost always appreciate it. Even when we're in a serious business mode or cool professional mode, we love to be reminded of the lighter side of life. And Amelia does this frequently with her higher, more playful energy.
Now, I would actually disagree with this. And I don't believe also that Amelia is doing this. I don't think she's purposely coming in with a big energy, with a higher energy than other people. And I believe that if you are more of an introvert, if you are not a natural extrovert that is already coming out on top when you go somewhere, you are manipulating your vibe. And I talked about this in another video. You are actually manipulating your vibe. You're forcing it. And then what happened to me for many years, because I used to do that, my vibe would go really, really high, and then I would go really, really low and be super inconsistent because I was forcing myself out of my natural reserved vibe when maybe I should have been reserved for that time. Maybe I should come to somebody and be really calm and kind of James Bond-like when that is what is asked of me from my body, from my brain, right? I don't want to force myself out of that. And what I found is something really crazy. And I experimented with a lot of different mental stuff for years in terms of social interactions. And I noticed that when I trusted whatever mood I was in and just embraced that, my positive vibe, my like outgoingness became a lot more normalized over time, rather than being up and down all the time and me having to constantly try to pull myself out of it. So that is one thing I disagree with, but I completely understand that advice. That seems like pretty good advice to say, hey, listen, be more energetic, be more positive. And it's not the worst advice in the world. It's not like it's something toxic, but I'm just saying from the years of me experimenting with different things, this did not at least work well for myself. And I know that my clients who are mostly introverted that I've had all throughout the years, they could say the same thing. Them forcing themselves out of something never was really good for them. Now, that's not to say don't go out and actually engage with people, but it's engage with people while embracing your vibe and still staying present.
Listen to the Game of Thrones producers talk about how Emilia won the role of Daenerys Targaryen in a high-stakes audition, even though she had never acted outside of a few bit roles.
It was quite possibly the least inviting audition environment we had ever witnessed. Still, the president of the company was playing it close to the chest. He nodded. Emilia asked if there was anything else she could do to lighten the mood. David asked, "Can you dance?" And without missing a beat, Emilia did the robot. And even the president had no choice but to smile. She got the job 10 seconds after she left the room, and the two of us ran to tell her.
So I don't think that proves his point. What I would say is that Emilia very well could have already been in a really big extroverted vibe at the moment, and just because she was asked to dance or whatever they asked of her, that doesn't mean that she had to come out from some introverted or low energy place. Now, I don't know Emilia enough to know if she's kind of an ambivert, if she's the type of person that is introverted a lot and is able to be extroverted a lot. That's like me. Or if she's a full-on extrovert, which from the short time I've seen her, that's what it seems to be. But again, I really need to watch a lot of her interviews and to really get a good idea of who she really is.
Don't try to be normal. Try to have fun, even if it means that you're the first one to be more enthusiastic, energetic, or positive.
Now, I would disagree with this too. I would say the more you try to be different from the vibe that you're feeling. And I can see right now, I'd say people in the comments are probably going, you're kind of misinterpreting what he's saying. And I would actually say no. I'm very, very strict on trusting what I'm feeling at the moment. And I'm also very strict on trusting what I want to say, what my natural inclinations are. And I've found that when I try to be more silly, I actually become less myself, less my real silly self. I've found that if I just trust my vibe and whatever I want to say in that moment, I will actually become more of my real, silly, weird, unique, quirky, and confident side, rather than that kind of facade that I might be putting up because I'm trying to overcompensate, just like he was showing in the Terminator clip.
She is an active listener. She makes the people communicating with her feel validated and heard. Now, you've already seen examples of this in her validating jokes from other people, but active listening can be even more subtle than that. For instance, she often listens while repeating phrases that person has just said.
It's just weird.
It's weird, isn't it?
It's really weird. There's like 50, 60 people watching you.
Yeah. I can relate to some of those things.
Now, I completely agree. Charming people are extremely active listeners. And the way I call it is acknowledging the human, acknowledging the soul that you're interacting with at that moment, showing them that you see them for who they really are and you're not just glazed over kind of, yeah, yeah, which can be creepy because the people know that you're not actually looking at them. But when you actually acknowledge them as a human, as a soul, that is one of the most charming things. It's actually one of the 9 marks of charm in the list of how to be charming. But I would say the whole thing of responding to them with what they just said, I don't think you ever need to worry about that. I think that's more of like a tactic, and I don't think it's necessary. I think if you already are actively listening, you're naturally going to respond like that anyways. But if you're thinking about doing it, having to remind yourself, I think that'll take you out of the interaction itself. So I wouldn't suggest doing that, but as a whole, great tip.
She simply says words that are encouraging and affirmative.
But everybody plays with, there's a lot of downtime, and y'all play heads up.
Yeah, exactly. No, we do. We do. Yes.
It's a fun game. It passes the time.
Exactly.
All right.
Happens.
It was all a dream.
Yeah, exactly.
There are a lot of ways to be charming, but I think Amelia highlights one of the most elegant. You make other people feel good by modeling how to feel good yourself. When you are happy and are comfortable expressing it.
Now, again, I think this is great advice, but the way it's worded, I think could be a little dangerous. Not in like in a bad way, but modeling how to be, I don't think that's the greatest way to go about it, because again, it's you manipulating how you really feel. I think what is more important is focusing on presence that will naturally allow you to be in a positive, happy, feel-good mood instead of you forcing it. And again, I don't want you to think I'm misinterpreting what he's saying. I understand it. I am just so strict about these words because anytime I feel as though I have to put on something for somebody, it's when I get nervous. And it's because I naturally have very, very bad performance anxiety. So the only time I'm feeling truly confident is when I truly feel I'm being my real self. And that's why I have been so strict about how I want to be when I'm with people. And so modeling a vibe, I don't think is the best way to word it, but I completely get what he's saying.
With your smiles, your laughter, your affirmations of other people, it has a way of rubbing off and making them perceive you as more charismatic.
All right, so I think this is amazing. I now understand why Charisma on Command has so many more subscribers than me. His videos are so well put together. They're really concise. I love the steps. I'm not about putting like a list of things together. It's just not naturally who I am. I'm more of like writing an essay or talking to you in a video like this, but I love that. It makes things so easy to digest. All in all, I think it's a great video. If you want me to react to another Charisma on Commandy video, let's get this one to 10,000 likes. That's all I ask. This is like chump change to somebody like Charisma on Command, right? 10,000 likes happens in a second for him. For me, that's big. So if you guys can get it to 10,000 likes, I would love to do a part 2 on Charisma on Command, and maybe I could react to something that may be less in alignment with what I teach. I'd love to see something where we disagree, and for me to look at it in an unbiased way, in an observant way, and just see maybe, you know, maybe what he's teaching will work for some people, but may not work for me. And I just love to see those differences. But for this one, I am blown away with how closely our teachings align. That's it for today, everybody. Again, if you're interested in joining the Discord community, the link is in the description. It's where all of my subscribers come together and discuss and learn from each other social skills, relationship skills, charm, dating, psychology, whatever you want in that arena. And lastly, you could watch another video in 3, 2, 1.